Fabulous night for a moon dance with the stars up above in your eyes. A fantabulous night to make romance neath the cover of October skies. With all the leaves on the trees.
We're grooving on a little Van Morrison this morning. Wow, you saw that picture. What a moon. Tonight, something very rare is happening up in the heavens. First, we have a full moon, and it's the winter solstice, the first day of winter.
Add to that the fact that the moon is making its closest pass of the year to Earth. Astronomer Dr. Philip Plait joins us now from Washington with more on this lunar landmark. Dr. Plait, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Clear this up for us. There's some dispute over whether this how often this kind of thing happens. Is it once every 100 years, or is it more often than that?
Well, it's both, confusingly enough. What's going on is that there is an email being spread around the internet that's talking about how rare this event is, and the email's a little confused. There's a few different things that are going on right now, a confluence of events, I suppose you might want to say. One is that we're having a full moon when the moon is at its nearest approach to the Earth. That happens not very rarely. What's a little more rare is that it's happening on the day of the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year, actually. That is relatively rare. That happens once every 8 years, 9 years, something like that. But for all of these events to happen so close together, the full moon at its closest approach, on the solstice to happen within a few hours of each other, that doesn't happen very often, and that is something that all in the same day, roughly once every 100 years or so.
So for a scientist, what makes it such a big deal?
For a scientist, it's not that big of a deal as it happens, but if you're a sky watcher, or an amateur astronomer, or even a professional astronomer, or just someone who wants to go out and look, the interesting thing about this is that since the moon is nearest to the Earth, it's going to be actually apparently bigger than it usually is on average. Now, you probably won't see the difference because it's not like you have the moon when it's nearest to the Earth and farthest to the Earth up in the sky at the same time, and you can compare them. But the moon will look a little bit bigger, something like 15% bigger, because it's about 15% closer than it usually is. It's on average about 240,000 miles away, and right now it's at about 220,000 miles away, so it's a little bit closer. So it looks a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I always thought that the moon made a purely circular orbit. I didn't realize it was somewhat elliptical.
It's almost circular, but nothing really has an exactly circular orbit. Most things are a little bit elliptical, some are more than others. The moon's orbit is elliptical, so like I said, there's about a 30,000 mile difference between closest and farthest approach. The Earth orbits the Sun in an ellipse as well, and that difference is about 6 million kilometers, about 4 million miles. That makes a difference too, because the really interesting thing, and the thing that you don't hear about so much, is that this event is also happening very near the point when the Earth is closest to the Sun in the orbit. Now, since the Earth and the Moon are close to the Sun, that means we're closer to the source of illumination of the Moon, which means the Moon will look brighter just because of that. That's about an 8% difference. The Moon is going to look about 25 to 30% brighter anyway because it's closer to the Earth. Since we're closer to the Sun, it'll look even brighter still, roughly, and this is really rough, about 15 to 20% brighter than average, and roughly 40% brighter than if it were very far from the Earth and the Earth were far from the Sun.
Now, Dr. Plait, I realize you're an astronomer and not an astrologer, but I'm hearing from people who do follow astrology that this, to them, is something of a big event. That I've heard people talking about this ushering in a new age of Aquarius, and that some people are going to be drumming tonight along with the appearance of this moon. What do you know about that?
Well, the solstice, which is the longest night of the year, it's, if you were to measure the sun's position off the horizon every day at noon, the solstice, the winter solstice, is when the sun gets lowest in the sky. And the next day at noon, it's a little bit higher in the sky. And we're all familiar with this, at least maybe not, we haven't measured it. But in the summer, the sun is up high, and in the winter, the sun is down low. And there's a point in time when it's at its lowest point and its highest point. Those are the two solstices. That's what the winter solstice is when it's low, and a lot of cultures celebrate that because when the sun is at the solstice, that means the next day it's a little bit higher and it's coming back and we'll have warmer weather. So a lot of cultures do celebrate this event, and so it has a little bit of a mystical appeal to it, I suppose. Scientifically, not as interesting. It's curious, and it does mean that the moon will be bigger. It also means that since the night is as long as it can be during the year, the moon will be up all night. People can celebrate it in any way they want. Around here, it's going to be about freezing, so I'm not going to be outside dancing or beating drums. But if you live in Florida, you know, more power to you, I suppose.
And I guess it's all going to be for naught if it's cloudy where you are. I mean, this is pretty exciting stuff to go out and watch the moon, but a lot of people are going to have cloud cover, huh?
Right. Actually, the other thing about this is in this email that's being spread around the internet, it says the moon's going to be super bright. It's really not going to be that much brighter. 40% brighter sounds like a lot, but your eyes don't respond to light that way. Something that is 40% brighter really doesn't look 40% brighter. It's weird, but that's just the way our eyes are constructed. Really, the moon would have to be twice as bright for us to really see a difference. So if you're going out expecting this, beacon in the sky, it's going to be like noon. It's not. The moon will be bright, but it won't be that much brighter than normal that you'll notice. One thing the email says is that you can drive at night without headlights. I wouldn't suggest it. I'll be out on the roads tonight, and I'd appreciate it if everybody left their headlights on.
Is there anything, if people have like a telescope and they're real buffs, that if they go out at night, first of all, what time is the best time to view it?
Well, the beauty of this is that the full moon rises when the sun sets and sets when the sun rises, so it is literally up all night long. The longer you wait towards midnight, the better, because it's up higher, but then it's going to be cold.
All right, Dr. Philip Plait, thanks very much.
Thank you.
See you outside tonight. Or maybe you won't be outside. It's freezing.
He'll be the one dancing.
I'll be
and drumming.